I might be wrong, but don't you think that catching flying object in space, the way it was done in the movie, is actually a bit more complicated as it was shown? Such actions are dangerous, jeopardizing entire space station with substantial value. The start of the movie was so fast-paced that there was no time for suspense and drama. It was unused opportunity. Uncrewed space probe out of control is lost, no matter how precious is the cargo. You leave it be and stay away from its path. Essentially, we are dealing with heavy, multi-ton bullet with enormous physical force. But uncontrolled flying probe is actually not the main topic of my critique, but the cargo. Plot of the movie is twisted around a single-celled organism, where exobiologist manages to wake up a dormant microorganism that quickly grows into multi-celled creature, which can change specialization of its cells on the fly, acting as a muscle, neuron, and photosensory cells all at once. I wonder if they can take reproduction obligations too. Usually cells have genes, and each cell reads its gene to know what job it fulfills, a specific job. You don't need your eyes to take heart's task to pump blood, you need your eyes to see, that's the job. By the way, I forgot to mention that our creature's name is Calvin. So essentially, Calvin is wasting precious energy, and I mean constantly wastes his energy on proteins where those aren't needed. Usually on certain phase when programmed growth is reached, genes should stop making proteins and cells stop dividing, at least they don't divide so much, otherwise, if growth is not stopped, it becomes uncontrolled and causes cancer. So what kind of special uber-duper mega-pooper organism must it be with so special physical characteristics that can even survive outer space? By the way, space station is in thermosphere, where temperatures are highly dependent on solar activity and can rise to 2000 degrees Celsius or more. I know that tardigrades are capable organisms and can survive vacuum of space and extreme temperatures, but 2000 degrees Celsius is a bit too much of extreme, especially when we have to consider cosmic radiation that varies with altitude, but still, higher altitudes mean greater exposure. Radiation is more intense in the upper atmosphere and most intense in deep space. ISS is located in the center of the thermosphere. After that comes exposure. Basically, doorstep to the open space, so without physical protection it's kind of dangerous. That's one of the challenges for deep space explorations and future colonizations. What I want to voice with my blah blah talk is that Calvin evolved on the surface of Mars. It is organism that evolved for the conditions of Mars. Of course, back when conditions were suitable for life. Calvin did not evolve to be radiation and thermoresistant, intellectually capable creature that knows how to act in completely unfamiliar environment against other alien creatures, being grown out of infusoria-like organism in petri dish. Of course, if Calvin is considered indigenous to Mars. As we know, Mars is smaller compared to Earth, but still has gravity and atmosphere. So hypothetically, if there was life that evolved to something like Calvin, it should at least be adapted to planet's gravity. I am judging by Earth's life forms, something I see every day. If Calvin originally was terrestrial creature, I know that terrestrial is relating to the planet Earth. By saying terrestrial, I mean lives on land or on the ground. If he lives or lived on the ground, he should have walked or crawled. If aquatic, then obviously should have swum. We saw that Calvin did not have legs, and he resembled an aquatic creature, a jellyfish of sort. So exobiologist managed to grow it, him, whatever, in a petri dish without water like some mycelium, without any substrate. But that growth was done in zero gravity, without any developmental disorders. Look, creature evolved in the Martian gravity, for the Martian gravity. Usually weightlessness in 0G for growing organisms is somewhat not good. Second thing that jammed gears in my brain is how something of the size of a human palm managed to break grown man's hand. Look, this jelly thing lives in petri dish and had no sustenance while growing, yet managed to have brute force to break materials with deadly grip. About the intellectual part, I am not even talking. Also, they were dealing with extraterrestrial life form, violating principles of work with potentially harmful materials. You may already know that, but there is 4 safety levels of working with hazardous elements, materials, threats, etc. Level 1 is dealing with simple, common type of bacteria found in variety of places, from contaminated food to the human gut. Workers in these labs wear basic personal protective equipment, implementing standard cleanliness practices, daily decontamination of all equipment, and thorough hand washing. These laboratories have few biohazard signs and specialized ventilation systems, nothing extraordinary. At level 2, we would deal with slightly more hazardous agents. This level has slightly stricter security and decontamination practices, but nothing extreme. At level 3, we have a serious approach. Scientists are wearing personal protective one-piece equipment, a jumpsuit covering entire body. Wearing a respirator is a must. Room is separated by vacuum-sealed double doors. Level 4. This is a laboratory with highest security biosafety protocol. Scientists in these laboratories are wearing fully encapsulated suit, hooked up to hoses that pump air from outside the room. Hazmat suit consisting of impermeable whole-body garment worn as protection against hazardous materials, so that scientists are completely separated by layers of gloves, goggles, and respirators. This level laboratories are designed to keep microbes inside. That's why vacuum-sealed doors with interspace rooms with strict ventilation and decontamination. It was obviously very simplified explanation of these levels, especially level 4. As soon as we are going to deal with real extraterrestrial organisms, level 4 may be improved. Now you see all violations and the lack of biohazard safety protocols while dealing with something dangerous. At least with a little bit of imagination you should see it. Also something improvised flamethrower on a spaceship, space station. Nevertheless, it's open fire. Such things are not allowed on submarines. As we know, flames are main consumers of oxygen. Seems like scriptwriters were lacking fantasy imagining this scene. Tell you what, talented scriptwriter would base entire plot of the movie basically only around that room, and how scientist is trying to survive against all odds, his crew members floating like headless chickens trying to save him. Boom. A true horror fiction is created. Add a little sparkle of Cronenberg and you have yourself a nail-biting suspense and not another Alien clone. And don't come telling me that this is science fiction. It's just a movie. I know, I see it. Fictional part is filled, but scientific part, zero.